Picture an armed standoff, flashing red and blue lights cutting through dust, heavily armed task force officers taking cover, staring down a cornered man. If you saw this on the evening news, your brain would instantly categorize the man in the crosshairs. You'd assume the police had finally cornered a hardened gangster or an active terrorist. But the man surrounded by 50 armed police officers on the morning of June 17, 2024, was Bharat Tiwari, a 28-year-old BSc graduate who didn't have a single criminal record to his name. Bharat was a local activist. For 2 years, he had been begging the Bihar government to deliver on promised relief funds after devastating floods swallowed his village, leaving his neighbors to live in half-submerged, dangerous pits. His petitions went nowhere. Exhausted by the apathy, Bharat sold a gold chain, bought a cheap country-made pistol, and went on Facebook Live, threatening the local administration that if they didn't fix the roads and help the flood victims, he would take matters into his own hands. That brings us back to the standoff. Broadcasting live from his phone, Bharat negotiates with the police. He explicitly agrees to surrender. He throws his pistol 20 meters away into an open field, raising his empty hands. Then, the live stream cuts out. Minutes after the screen goes dark, police open fire, shooting the unarmed 28-year-old multiple times. The Indian state routinely negotiates the peaceful surrender of armed militants and violent insurgents. So why did 50 heavily armed officers end a standoff with lethal force against an unarmed, surrendering village activist? The official state narrative is straightforward. The police claim Bharat picked his gun back up and fired at them. They stated he was a dangerous threat, and they shot him in the legs purely in self-defense. To make that story stick, authorities execute the first step of the playbook, character assassination. The state's top police officials and the chief minister immediately took to the press to brand Bharat as mentally unstable, neatly justifying their massive show of force against a single citizen. Step 2 is exploiting a legal loophole. If police shoot a suspect in the head or chest, it triggers intense human rights investigations. The workaround is an unspoken policy to aim for the legs, a tactic designed to look like a non-lethal attempt to subdue a suspect. But human biology doesn't care about police loopholes. The police fired 4 bullets into Bharat's lower abdomen and thighs at close range. Hitting the major arteries in the legs guarantees catastrophic blood loss of over 3 liters, making death highly probable, while allowing the shooters to claim they were just trying to stop him. Step 3 is the route to death. Instead of rushing a rapidly bleeding man to the nearest capable trauma center, the police transported Bharat to a local referral clinic, then an outpost, and finally dragged him to Patna Medical College, nearly 30 kilometers away. He bled out and died before ever receiving proper treatment. The final step is the cover-up. After Bharat died, the police filed 3 separate criminal reports. They charged the deceased with attempted murder, booked his grieving family for illegal weapons possession, and filed rioting charges against the villagers who came out to protest his death. The timeline of the shooting, the calculated medical detour, and the subsequent legal threats suggest something far more deliberate than a botched arrest, a procedural execution disguised as law enforcement. Bharat's death in Bihar is a chilling local tragedy, but it aligns with a specific, systemic policing model that is quietly taking over the country. This extrajudicial tactic traces its political roots to the UP model, where state leadership openly championed a zero-tolerance policy that effectively encouraged police to bypass the courts and deal out instant street justice. This chart tracks the spike in aggressive police operations. In Uttar Pradesh alone, law enforcement executed over 17,000 encounter operations in 9 years, and these are frequently lethal. Between 2016 and 2022, India registered over 800 encounter killings, a state-sanctioned execution every 3 days. This tactic didn't start with activists. It started as a blunt instrument to eliminate hardened terrorists and violent mob bosses. But unchecked power expands. Soon, police were using the kill or maim strategy on petty thieves, and now they are using it on young men demanding clean water and electricity. By rebranding extrajudicial murder under the shiny label of instant justice, the state has sold the public a dangerous idea that the courts are too slow, the laws are too weak, and a bullet is the only effective verdict. And the bitter truth is, millions of citizens actively cheered for this. Frustrated by decades of a sluggish, corrupt judicial system, the public clapped when police started gunning down accused criminals without a trial. But we forgot why constitutional law exists in the first place. The entire justice system is built on trials, evidence, and appeals to ensure that the state cannot simply murder someone because they find them inconvenient. When you eagerly hand the state the unchecked authority to act as the judge, the jury, and the executioner, you strip away the only democratic guardrails keeping that power from being pointed at you. Today, the victim was an angry 28-year-old student who broke the law to demand flood relief for his neighbors. Tomorrow, it could be a journalist, a neighbor, or anyone who dares to ask the system a question it refuses to answer. The systematic dismantling of India's rule of law is nearly complete, and we provided the applause.